Outside and tell that guy.
All right, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the next session here. It is noon, so I can say good afternoon because it's that time now. I have with me Doug Showalter of Showalter Company, and he is going to be presenting on a session called Lead, Follow, or Move Out of the Way. So happy to have you here, man. And we were just joking and everything in the green room. It's always fun to have you here, dude. Take it away.
All right, cool. Thank you very kindly. Okay, everybody. So, the thing is I want to make sure that you don't get misled by the topic. The topic is lead, follow, or move out of the way. My whole difference that we do with Showalter and Company is we look at business and what's working in the private sector out there, and then we kind of merge it into the public sector to say, why aren't we doing this in public safety? Why aren't we using their techniques, their tactics that work in the public sector into comm centers? So that's what my whole thing is. That's why it says lead, follow, move out of the way, blending private sector successes into public safety. It's these two worlds I want to collide and bring them together. So it's important to have that kind of stuff. So let's get started. So if you don't know who I am, let me just give you a quick little rundown of who I am. I'm Doug Showalter. For about 30 years, I worked for the California Highway Patrol. During that time, we had 26 communication centers up and down the state of California, and I worked in 10 of those in various roles and responsibilities, mainly as a dispatcher, supervisor, that kind of thing, trainer. And then several years ago, I got asked to take over the entire statewide training program, meaning that we had at that time about 1,300 dispatchers. And no matter where you got hired in the state with the Highway Patrol, you were sent up to our academy in Sacramento for 3 weeks to get the basics, the foundation of our job down. And then you'd go back to your home center, wherever you got hired in the state. And then you'd come back for 2 more weeks of radio training to kind of give you the basics on how to do our radio systems out there. So that was kind of a big deal. I was really surprised when they offered me that position to take over the whole statewide training program. And really, it's all about being at the right place at the right time and taking the chance and saying, I can do this, and have that belief in yourself, which is so great to have if you have that. And I was very lucky to have very supportive management. My lieutenant and my captain were very supportive and said, you know what, this opportunity's opened, go do it, Doug. And I'm like, wow, to go up to Sacramento and take that whole thing over. We actually ended up writing several manuals. The communications manual we use for our department is still in effect, and the training manual, which is my pride and joy because I'm such a big passionate person about training. That's the training the future of your agency. And we're going to talk about the future of your departments here in a second. But since about 12 years ago or so, I've been training around the country, big and small comm centers all over the place. And in 2015, my wife and I started Showalter and Company. And I said, I want to approach training differently. Everybody does a training their own way, but I wanted to approach it from a business side. I wanted to come at it from a business world perspective and say, how can I mix what's working out there into comm center environments? So we have basically 4 core classes we teach. Everyone is leading, which we talk about. Everybody at every single level is a leader. I don't care if you've been on 2 weeks. You can lead that department by coming up with ideas and offering suggestions and all those kinds of things. And it's a way to kind of motivate and inspire people out there. The other one I have I'm super proud of is Training for Success. That's our version of CTO. But I always ask people, what are your CTOs focused on? Are they focused on pointing out all the problems somebody has, all the difficulties somebody's got? I say from the very beginning of our class, they have to write the word success right across the front of their paperwork. Big, huge letter success, because that's the only thing I want a CTO focused on. I don't want them saying, my trainer doesn't do this, or my trainee doesn't do that. What are you doing to correct it? What are you doing to get that person to be successful? When I was in charge of the state, we had to do a cost analysis. How much does it cost to hire and train somebody? It's very expensive. So if I'm going to invest that kind of time, money, and effort, I want everybody to be successful in this job. So it's a combined effort. That's our class. The other one is Expecting the Unexpected. We talk about everything from terrorist attacks to sinking vehicles. Lots of research has gone into this class, but I want to make sure it's useful information you walk out the door with, because we've all been to classes where you walk out after 8 hours going, what the hell just happened? Where am I? It's like, I want people to walk out of class going, I can use that today. I can use this today. We do a lot of specialized classes too. If you want leadership classes just for supervisors, I do that too. I was a supervisor for many years, and I will tell you that having just retired from the Highway Patrol in December, I miss it terribly. I wish I had the wherewithal to do another 30 years, but I really don't have the what it's needed to work in that comm center environment for that long right now. And I really feel like I'm pushing the public safety world out there with what I'm doing right now. So let's keep going here. My goals this morning, and it is this morning, and I will tell you it's super hard to follow the guy from New Orleans. I mean, he's in the middle of a hurricane, and I was just telling Ricardo that I'm kind of upset that the gardeners are outside, right outside my window, as loud as possible. So two different worlds here. But my goals this morning are this. Encourage you to look and plan for the future of your agency. Become what somebody who's a future caster. That's what I want you to be. I want every single person in your department focused on the future. What's coming and how do we prepare for it? In the business world, the most important 3 words that the business world has is, and now what? And now what is a huge thing for business. They say, okay, you had a big sale. Now what? You did this really well, and now what? You opened 5 more stores, and now what? And we should be thinking the same thing. We're going to talk about all the new things that are coming up right now, but it's important to keep asking yourself, what's coming? What's coming next? Now, I know when I teach this, a lot of times people say, Doug, I'm busy focused on hiring for these openings we still have. I don't have time to think of the future. Well, we have to think of the future, or bad things are going to start happening. We have to be ahead of this curve and not wait for things to be thrown at us. So let's talk about that. I mean, I want you to become that go-to person for your agency. I want people to think of you as that person they can't live without. When they see you, I want them to say, man, you know what? We got this coming up. How can we handle this kind of a thing? What can we do? Let's rely on that person. You're that person they want to ask questions of, and they want to know you're researching things. So it's important to have that. So the title of our class was Lead, Follow, or Move Out of the Way. So let me just ask you this. Who is leading your agency into the future? Is it you? Are you going to lead that agency into the future? Because that's where I want to focus today. I want you to lead everybody into the future. I want you to kind of say, I'm going to research some stuff. I'm going to learn some things. I'm going to get some information, bring it back to my agency to make them part of the future. Or are you somebody who just wants to follow? Now, I will tell you that, there's nothing wrong with following. I know people at my work right now that are like, I'm going to do my 8 and hit the gate. Well, my thing is, if you want to follow, that's fine, because leading needs followers. So if you want to follow, that's fine. The last one is, do you know those people that you say, hey, I have this great idea. I thought maybe, and they say, no, we can't do that. Or you say, hey, could we try this today? And they're like, no, that's not going to work. These negative people need to move out of the way, because our agency is moving to the future as fast as possible, and we want to make sure you're with it, that we want to make sure we're all part of this future of our agency out there. So do you ever consider where in the world dispatch is going to be in 5 or 10 years? Do you really think that it's not going to change in 5 years, 10 years? I will tell you what, that if you know this, up until 2012, my agency was using a DOS-based CAD. Yeah. If you don't know what DOS is, it's green screen and these gray letters go across. 2012, we changed to Windows. 2012. It's 2020 right now. I mean, technology's out there. We just have to catch up to it sometimes. And I will tell you that it's going to change rapidly in the future. And we need to be ready for it. I mean, is your agency preparing you for the new challenges you're going to face? Because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of new challenges out there. You better get ready for these things. So it's important to kind of think of these things. I will tell you that I have always relied on this philosophy right there where it says, good ideas have no rank. I don't care if you've been on 20 minutes. If you come in and say, hey, Doug, I saw the way we're doing this. Maybe we should try this. All right, let's give it a shot. Let's do it. I don't want somebody sitting on the operations floor who has a lot of good ideas and says, well, it's not the right time. Nobody's going to listen to me. Hell, I'm not even in charge. Because if you sit on the floor and say those kinds of things, great opportunities are going to keep passing you by. Great opportunities passing you by. You know, when I was in charge of the state training program, that was an opportunity. And I remember my lieutenant sat me down and said, Doug, The window of opportunity has opened. Jump in and take it. We all need to kind of think, how can I make my agency better? I'm not just going to sit back and wait for it to happen. I'm going to do this kind of stuff. So, I mean, we talk about leadership and people say, well, I'm not a sergeant. I'm not a captain. I'm not a director. I'm not a manager. I'm not a supervisor. But guess what? You're still a leader. One person can make a huge difference. How about that person shows up in the parking lot and you see them in the parking lot yelling on their phone at their spouse or whoever they're yelling at, and they come storming into the comm center? Did that one person have an impact on everybody? Yeah, they did. So everybody can make a difference out there, just how you treat it. What if we defined leadership a little bit differently? Not as a noun. If I'm a leader, I'm a noun. I'm over here, and this is my position because I have a badge, or I have stripes, or I have stars, or I have a director position, or I have a nice office. I want to define leadership as a verb, based on actions, based on what you do. What if we considered leadership as more about the way you influence people, the way you teach people, the way you help people, and the way you guide others? Then everybody would be a leader. Every position would be a leader. You know, the person that you're on the floor and you see somebody having a bad day and you're like, hey, are you okay? That's leading. That's leading. That's showing empathy towards each other. We all lead in different ways, but we can all be a leader. You don't need to think, well, I can't make decisions, because you certainly can make decisions. Tomorrow's challenges, they're going to be made way more difficult if you're not prepared. I see a lot of times people sit back and wait for things to happen to them. When we got our new CAD system, do you think we just sat back and said, well, they're going to take out DOS and they're going to give us Windows? Golly. No, we were planning on it, saying, you know how much better it's going to be when we have Windows? We're going to have a mapping software. We're going to have all these cool things that we never, ever had before. I won't have to carry around a paper map like we used to. Because I'll tell you what, if you don't like change, you're really going to hate extinction, because you'll be gone. They'll be moving you aside. Take your typewriter and your rotary phone and move along. We have to be willing to move with the times, and that's where it requires leadership. I mean, before phones, when I first started back in the early 90s, we had pagers and beepers. I know a lot of you are too young to remember those things, and you're like, I've never even seen that before in my life. But that was our life back then. I knew some people that had 2 pagers, and you're like, wow, they must be important. They have 2 pagers. And that was our life back then. And payphones. Payphones were everywhere. Now you can't find a payphone. Now nobody has a payphone, and nobody has a beeper. I wonder if somebody does have a beeper. If you could put it in the comments here, I'd love to know who has a beeper and what the heck to use it for. But think about the timeline. That's less than 30 years ago that we had beepers, then cell phones. You'll see Motorola release the StarTAC cell phone with a price tag of about $1,000 back 24 years ago. 24 years ago seems, oh, that's such a long time, Doug. But think where cell phones are today. Think now there's on the Apple Watch is basically a phone. It's a computer sitting right there on your watch. We have to think to ourselves, technology and everything's going to be changing, and I don't want to be caught behind. I want to be ahead of these things. So in order to start planning for the future and becoming a future caster, we got to start thinking of the challenges we had in the past. Here's a big one. Some of you younger people won't remember this, but you can ask your parents about it, and they'll tell you about it. Back in 1999, around December, something big happened. We all said, man, what's going to happen when the computers flip from 1999 to 2000? That's when Y2K happened, and everybody was in a panic. The news media was saying it's going to destroy everything and the market's going to close. It was crazy. But I'll tell you what, we were prepared. When that happened, all of the supervision at my office had to work graveyard that night. We all had to be there with maps, with flashlights, with all kinds of stuff to prepare in case something should happen, to say, my God, what are we going to do if something does happen? But we did get prepared for that kind of stuff. Did you get prepared? I mean, leave it in the comments. Did you get prepared for this Y2K? I mean, it was such a big deal, but we were ready. We prepared ourselves before it happened. We didn't just sit back and say, you know, that's going to flip tomorrow. Should we do anything? No. Okay. No, we prepared for it out there. Think about technology. Your Xbox 360 is way more powerful than the space shuttle computer, because that was built on 1970s technology. We met an astronaut, And the guy was telling us how the technology on board the shuttle was so old, it was older than he was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is just crazy. But technology is flying so fast. It's important to think of that. So what's next? What's next? We have to start thinking about what is coming up next. There's technology that just started flying on the market, but a lot of people aren't ready for it. You know that Google has those driverless vehicles? You know those driverless vehicles that are out there now? It seems like, wow, that's such a great idea. P.S. I would never, ever get in one of those. But everybody's like, well, these are driverless vehicles. You can just get in the back and drive along. Here's the problem we found. The problem is that vehicle happens to tap somebody or bump into somebody. Does it know to pull over? Does it know to say, I need to exchange information with this guy in front of me? Who's going to exchange information? Is it a Surrey that's going to be, hi, I've been involved in an accident? Who is that person that's going to be in that car to tell it to pull over at a safe location, pull over? We're going to have to write this down. Nobody seems to have answers for that. How about if it has a unit, or how about if an officer gets behind it and lights it up? Does it know to pull over or not? Does it just keep going? Lots of issues have been coming up because they haven't thought ahead on these things. They thought how great the advancements are, but never thought, wow, this is something we probably should have thought of. Uber. Everybody gets in an Uber car nowadays. Nobody even thinks about getting in a car with a stranger nowadays, but you do. And so they came up with the Uber emergency button, that if you're in the Uber car, you can push the button and it'll notify 911 if that agency has the right technology. Because if it doesn't have the right technology, that doesn't work. That was one thing they came out with and threw it on the market as fast as they could and said, gee, we didn't really think about all these things. This is why I talk about future casters. You have to be thinking ahead. I mean, Uber's now gone onto the Uber Eats, which is disgusting to me because what's the biggest issue they've had with Uber drivers? They're tasting your food before they bring it to you. So now they're saying, okay, we're going to seal the food up before you get it. That's kind of sad that we got to tell an Uber driver we're going to seal it up so you don't eat it. Really weird. So, I mean, we have all these technology things out there. You see the Apple Watch right there. The watches of the future are going to be nothing what they are today. They're going to look completely different out there. So it's important to think of these things. How about dispatch operations? You think it's going to change in the next 5, 10 years? Oh, mama, it's going to change a lot. Now, everybody probably does texting right now. I imagine almost all of you do texting. But how was texting approached to your agency? Did they say, hey, in about 5 months, we're going to have texting. So we're going to think about all of the things that should be noted beforehand. Here's the deal. My agency did that because we came up with a 2-page list of approved text lingo that you can use. Because we didn't want somebody saying, hello, officer, I've been involved in an accident. And our dispatcher sends it back, LOL, or WTF, why the face? You know. So we needed to make sure they were saying the right things on texting because everybody knows how to text with a bunch of lingo, but if you're not using the right appropriated codes, that's a problem. One thing we found about texting when they threw it on us was there's no translation service. If somebody's texting you in Russian, unless you speak Russian, you're not going to know what in the heck they're talking about. So I hear people say, well, Doug, there's Google Translate. And Google Translate is not certified. Have you ever driven and you're on the phone and you're trying to text somebody verbally and it says something completely wrong that you're looking at it going, that's not what I just said. So let's think about how Google could be like that. What's the next thing? Video and pictures are coming. I know a lot of people say, I don't know if we should be doing that or not, but I don't want to see stuff like that. It's coming. It's coming. Look what we're doing right now. We're on Zoom. We do Zoom calls, we do this crowdcast stuff, we do all these things online virtually. You don't think this is going to happen where they're going to be able to send pictures and video right to you? Now that's going to change things. And this is why I say that future caster needs to be thinking ahead. Is that going to change our jobs emotionally, physically, technology? Because now you're looking at an incident occur right in front of you. Are you a witness now? Because you've seen it happen right in front of you. How about the fact if somebody sends you some picture of something awful? Something absolutely tragic. And you're going to have to see that and look at that. And I'll tell you what, once you see something like that, you can't unsee it. And that's a big thing for us. And we need to start talking to each other about the impact emotionally of those kinds of pictures being sent to us. And how do we look at that? And how do we handle that kind of stuff? I mean, just being on the phone with people for 30 years, I've had some terrible calls that will stick with me forever. I didn't have to see the caller actually do whatever they were going to do with me. So it's important we think about this stuff. FaceTime 911, that's another thing. It's gonna probably happen within probably 5 years, where when they call 911, they can see you and you can see them. Does that change things? Yeah. One little minor thing it changes is, when you're on the phone with somebody and they say something crazy and you're like, oh, you won't be able to do that because they're going to see you at that point. So you got to be able to kind of deal with that kind of stuff out there. Virtual reality. I mean, AI technology is just booming out there in our marketplace right now. Virtual reality is when somebody calls 911 and you're going to get a 3D image of this house and you can see the whole thing and see where they are inside that house. That's a great thing. That is unbelievable technology. Drones. A lot of agencies are using drones nowadays. And with drones, they're saying, let's put a downlink into dispatch. So now besides all the other 30 screens you now have up, now you'll have a screen with the drone downlinking their video to you so you can see it. Could you see the good things with that? Yeah, I could see, I'm looking at the scene of something. I can say, hey, officers, there's somebody right there on the other side. I can see all these great things out there, but it's going to change our job. How about this one? More AI technology. I mean, it's going to be something where somebody calls us and we're going to get so much information so quickly that it's going to change our job. Super pinpoint accurate locations. One thing I found out the other day doing our We Speak Dispatch thing was somebody brought up this thing. What 3 words? I've never heard of it before, but I'll tell you what, it sounds like a great free app of this what 3 words. They sent us some information because how am I a future caster? As soon as I heard about this, what 3 words, I immediately emailed the company. Tell me about your app and what does it do and what are the limitations and how does it work? And they sent me a ton of information. When you see things like this, do you take advantage and say, let me contact the company. I'm going to bring it to my office and say, hey, I researched this and here's what I found. That's future casting. That's being proactive and thinking about these things. How about this one? Live 911. That's where you're on the phone with 911 with somebody on the phone and the officer responding to the incident can then hear you. They can hear your phone conversation as they're driving to the scene of something. Good, bad, indifferent. We have to be prepared for this kind of stuff. We have to be prepared for these kind of technologies that are coming out there. What about this one? This is societal changes. How's that going to impact dispatch? Now, I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the media and things are out there right now where people are talking about defunding the police and there's protests and things like that out there that could impact when you get to work. When you're driving to work and you could drive through these things, is that going to impact our job? That's going to add another layer of stress. Now, I'll tell you what, that's nothing new because I was in LA back in the very early 90s when we had the social unrest due to Rodney King. And that was where our office was just up the street from where all the people were rioting and stuff like that. We had the National Guard around us. People were throwing Molotov cocktails at our building. So we had to deal with that coming to work, but not one person, nobody said, let's talk about the impact of driving into a riot on us, on our psyche to say, gosh, people don't like us anymore. Because this is something we have to definitely think about it. We have to definitely consider this kind of stuff. How do we avoid problems in the future? Well, we do 3 things. We plan, and plan again. We need to anticipate and avoid problems. Be a problem solver, not a complainer saying they give us this technology, but nobody tells us how to use it. I'm telling you right now that we all need to come up with solutions for this. Tomorrow's changes have unique challenges. I'll give you a quick one. There was a big conference not too long ago with the plastic surgeons who were talking about, we never realized we'd have so much business with people walking into like oncoming traffic while they're texting or walking into a pole and injuring their face or falling into a hole. They never thought people would be so dumb as to walk along texting and not paying attention and fall and hurt themselves and they'd get more business than ever. I mean, we have to start thinking about how do we predict some of these problems. I mean, what if we could address some of the issues, problems, policies, guidance, direction for any of those identified technology changes? I mean, we talk about future casting. Can you start researching stuff right now and say, hey, I want us to be ahead of this thing. I don't want to be behind. I want to be ahead of it. So I'm going to research the impact of actually seeing some terrible thing on my screen and how's that going to affect me? Maybe I should set up a peer support. Maybe I should talk to other agencies about it. We're not just alone in this thing. Maybe we should talk to other agencies and say, hey, what do you think? Is this going to change the way we do our job? Every time I bring this topics up, I hear people all the time saying, no, we don't want that. No. Is that going to change their department saying, no, we're going to get it? Yeah, we're going to get it anyway, whether you like it or not. But you have to be willing to say, I'm going to accept change. And I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to figure out how to do this kind of stuff. We talk about future leaders. I mean, our leaders working at your agency today, they're not even hired yet. If they're not hired, then what are they walking into? Great training, supportive coworkers, great attitudes, motivated trainers, engaged supervisors. I do a version of CTO called Training for Success. And I'll tell you what, I hear more people tell me about how horrible their training experiences were. And I'm thinking to myself, you would never see this in the public sector. In the business world, would never sit back and say, it's okay to mistreat people. Yeah, forget it. Don't even know their names. That's crazy. We need to stop doing that stuff. Leaders are going to be, what they see today is going to build them to be a better leader tomorrow. So we need to think about that stuff. Couple things that developing future casters, everybody's had this issue, failing forward. Failing forward is something that we've all had. If you could see my personnel file, you'd see old Doug's made some mistakes in his career. But I'll tell you what, failing forward means you made a mistake, you own it, you accept it, and you move forward. You don't let it stop you and say, well, 5 years ago I did this, 12 years ago I did that. You make a mistake, own it, move forward, keep going. This is something I've told my crews wherever I've worked. Just because you made a mistake today doesn't mean your whole career is gone. Learn from it and keep moving forward. I mean, does your agency even encourage out of the box thinking? I'll give you a couple of things to do out there. What if we started thinking like a real business? Real businesses have the strategic business perspective, which means they view and how to solve important issues based on results. Not, well, that's how we've always done it here. I hear that a lot too. And I'm like, people, really? Einstein said this 100 years ago. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Hello. We know that's the case. We need to not do that kind of thing. We need to kind of change if something's not working. One of my favorite things I try to tell everybody when I'm out teaching classes is this, ROA. In the business world, you will hear this term all the time, ROA, result of activity. What did you do and what was the result? Prime example. If your training program has a terrible success rate, people aren't making it through training, people are not lasting through training, then guess what? The result of your training is not good. You need to change it up. You need to reevaluate and say, dang, is our training based on success or based on pointing out everybody's faults? We need to kind of look at these things and think ROA is our business. This is one of the best business terms I've ever heard, and I will tell you, use it all the time, result of activity. It's important to have that. I mean, here's a little change. I mean, it doesn't take a massive thing to make a big change in your agency to make it better. Aim for the future. I'll tell you two companies that use some change. Starbucks. Starbucks said, we pretty much know if you're going into a Starbucks, you're pretty much going to get coffee or some sort of drink. We know that. So if you walk into Starbucks and the person's sitting there, can I help you? We know what you're already there for. So Starbucks said, let's change what they do. Whenever somebody comes through the door now at Starbucks, they've trained their people to say, hey, what can I get started for you? Now I'm engaged with you. Now I'm making you part of this thing. What can I get started for you? Because we know you're there for coffee or some kind of drink. What are we going to get started for? You're not part of us. Simple change changed a lot in their business out there. Napa Auto Parts. Napa Auto Parts was an auto parts store, is an auto parts store. And they knew if you're going to Napa Auto Parts, you're probably working on a car or some sort of mechanical thing. So they said, instead of just sitting behind the counter waiting for somebody to walk up to the counter, hi, can I help you? When they see a customer come through the door, their question is, hey, what can we get started for you today? Or not that, that's the wrong one. They say, what are you working on today? And I'm like, that's such an easy thing. What are you working on today? Because now you're part of this thing. So two little changes made a huge difference to their business. And it's important to kind of remember that and say, how can we do that kind of stuff? I encourage all of you, this is going to help you with your future thinking and leading your agency. Start thinking like a startup company. Startup companies are always thinking of what can we do to make us better? What could we do? How do we come up with new ideas? I'm going to tell you right now how to come up with new ideas. The deal is find a blank wall someplace, and I want you to take 2 Post-it notes. And I want you to write down on these Post-it notes 2 new ideas, plans, or strategies to make your place better. What is it? What are these 2 new ideas, plans, or strategies that'll make your place stand out? Make it great. Now, I'll tell you what. Take out, we want $5,000 raise, we want a brand new building. Not going to happen. But what else could you put down there? Could you put down, we need to start empowering everybody to start researching things. We need to come up with a peer support to talk about these issues we're going to deal with. Whatever these 2 new ideas, plans, or strategies are, think about these things. Now, I'll tell you what. I look at it like this. Do you really think that some singer was out there one day and said, hey, Bill, I'm going to go write myself a gold record. Be right back. Or do you think that guy's got a million songs in a box someplace that he's like, oh, no, that's not good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not every one of your ideas is going to be great, but there's going to be 1 or 2 that are going to be so awesome. Now, here's the deal. I hear people say it all the time. Doug, we have a suggestion box. Well, a suggestion box is great, but it's only seen by one person who opens it. Put them on the wall, put them out there so everybody can see these ideas, and then ask everybody, hey, everybody, I want you all start coming up with ideas. 2 new ideas, plans, or strategies to make our place better. What could it be? Something simple. Put it on the wall, let everybody see it, and then actually make it happen. That's the hardest part, is actually saying, all right, let's try this idea. Let's just give it a shot and see if we can make it. Let's try this kind of thing. Because remember earlier on, and I said, you got those people that just say, oh, nothing's going to work, Doug. Nothing's going to happen. That's the people who need to move out of the way. Because we're putting up ideas. We're coming up with things. We're checking things. We're looking for new things out there. That's what I want everybody to start doing with these 2 new ideas, plans, or strategies. Not a very difficult thing. Looks kind of like that. Put the Post-its up on the wall. Come up with ideas. And then look at them and say, could we try this? Could we do that too? Maybe. Let's try those kind of things. How about goals? I hope each one of you is setting goals. It's going to make you a better leader. Because if you've got a goal, maybe you want to be an EMP. Maybe you want to be get more information on business. Maybe you want to start listening to podcasts or go to a conference. Set some future goals for yourself out there. I try this, the 6-12-24 method, which is in 6 months, 12 months, and 24 months. My wife and I did this when we started our company. We said we should start a company. And I said, I think it's impossible. I think it's super hard to do. She said, no. We could figure it out. We went and I bought one of those Building a Business for Dummies, those yellow books. And it really wasn't that hard to do. We could actually start making that thing. We started setting goals for ourselves. And man, when you have a goal in place, you can start saying, I'm going to head that way. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go that way. So goal setting is super important for leaders out there. Recent survey reported about 70% of frontline employees were unable to clearly state what makes their employer stand out. Really? So if I asked each one of you, what makes your agency stand out? Why would everybody need to quit their job and come to your place? What is it? If you can't think of anything, then get those 2 new ideas, plans, or strategies going over there and figure out to make your place the best place to work. It's important to have that. We want you leading your agency up into the future out there. Creating positivity. Positivity is a big thing. A lot of people are obsessed with negative because of our job. I mean, just think about it. Are you the same person you were before you worked in public safety? I mean, sometimes it does have to change us a little bit into more of a negative kind of thing because that's all we're dealing with. So I'm going to help you get out of that negative stuff out there. Changing your behavior is going to change the future. If you show praise to somebody, and I mean serious, not just throwing it off the cuff, good job, Bill. I'm saying actually like get involved and say, you know what, that call you handled last night, that was awesome and that rocked this place. That's good. That's what we want. We want that kind of thing out there. Somebody sent me this picture and I just love it because it shows how to show support for each other. That's not hard. It's not difficult. It's not complicated. It's this bucket with these cups on top with everybody's name on it. And you can leave a note saying, good job on this or whatever, or here's a gift, whatever it might be. But it's a simple way to show empathy towards each other and say, man, you did a good job on that. It's important to kind of have that out there. I love that thing out there. That's just such an easy thing to do. And I hope you all kind of do that. If you want to get a bigger picture of this, you want to see it again, you can send us an email and I'll be glad to send it to you. You can see it. Somebody sent it to me and I just want to share it with all of you out there. So here's an idea. When's the last time you told the person who hired you, thank you for hiring me? No, never. Go do it. The person who hired me is Jan. Jan's on my Facebook. I tell Jan all the time, thank you for hiring me and taking a chance on me back in the day. Jan's retired now, but I still thank her for what she did. She got me started in this great business of what we do out here. How about the person that trained you? Do you ever tell that person? That's a picture of me and Sandy down there in the corner down there. Sandy trained me when I very first started and retrained me when we got our new CAD system. She was part of that training team. How about telling somebody, thanks for helping me with that call, and mean it. Don't just say it, mean it. And how about this one? Thanks for asking. When somebody's had a difficult call and you're sitting next to them and you heard the call go down and you say, hey, are you okay? Just that simple thing of saying, are you okay, is a big thing. It's important to show that kind of gratitude out there. How about this one? No deposit, no return. If you're old, like old Doug here, then you've probably seen those old Coke bottles, the glass Coke bottles. At the very bottom, there's a rim, and the little glass lining would say, no deposit, no return. And I look at that and think, that's kind of our careers. Because our careers should be kind of focused on that. What deposits do you make in your career? Do you try to learn more? Do you try to find more things? Do you try to do future casting? You're making these deposits of great things to make your career better so you'll get a return. Because if you don't make any deposits in your career, you will get no return. You have to kind of think. I mean, the best investment is the investment in yourself. Invest in yourself. Go listen to a podcast. Go do some training. Go watch a video. Go read a book. Go do whatever you can out there to make yourself better. Invest in you. Invest in yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to give it to you. I mean, I see people all the time, well, they don't give us training on that, Doug. And I'm like, then you go find it. I mean, when I started researching the business world, I had to go out and actually find a bunch of stuff to research. I contacted a lot of people in the business world. I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of podcasts. I went to conferences to try to get myself well-versed in the business world so I could bring it into our dispatch center and say, hey, if it's working over here, it can work over here too. That's making deposits, not waiting for somebody to make deposit in your career. You do it. You figure it out, whatever it might be for you. Now, as I wrap things up here, I want to talk about something that's really important to me, because I will tell you what, that when I started our own company, our motto has been leave a legacy, because every day you get a chance to change your legacy. You get a chance to step in and change things. Now, I'll tell you the biggest secret about history. History isn't just something that goes backward, but history goes forward too. All of those great things that haven't happened yet, that's just history waiting to be written down. And you, my friends, have been given the great opportunity to change someone's history. Because I consider you all that road sign, that fork in the road. You're standing in the middle of it. And somebody calls 911 and they get you. And you can either do one of two things. You can either say, hey, come this way and I'm going to save your life. Come on. Or you can be indifferent and don't do your best work and not. It's your choice. You get to step in and change that possible future that person was heading towards when they call you and they're going to have a baby or they're choking on something or something bad's happened. You're that fork in the road that says, come on, come with me. I'm going to save you. I'm going to give you some good help. Or not. You each make that decision every single day with every single call. I'm a huge believer in fate. I think you're in those chairs for a reason. I think when you sign onto that phone, it's there for a reason. When you get that next call, it's for you. It's for you. You get that kind of thing. My favorite movie of all time, you're going to see it in another month. You're going to see it every hour on the hour. It'll be out there, is It's a Wonderful Life. The reason I like It's a Wonderful Life is because of the message that it tells Jimmy Stewart. If you know the movie, Jimmy Stewart loses $5,000 at the bank. He thinks his life would have been better if he was never born at all. And his guardian angel Clarence comes and tells him, look at how many lives you've actually touched. And when he got to see the city, Little Bedford Falls, when he got to see the city and see how bad it changed, didn't realize I had an impact on all of those. You've had an impact on so many lives, you don't even know it. Sometimes that person that calls 911 just needs to hear you say, It's okay. What's going on? And that's going to change their existence. Maybe they were just getting ready to do something terrible and they called you and you helped them through this thing. That legacy you leave is something big out there. And we need to kind of remember those things. I mean, everything has a legacy. This plastic phone, this plastic, cheap, rotary phone has a legacy. The legacy for this phone is it was where the first 911 call was answered. On that phone. That phone. That phone started your career. Your entire career started when that phone rang. That opened our career to say we can all jump into 911 and do this stuff. We've all been given the chance to kind of do this, and it's important that we kind of think of this stuff. Leaving that lasting legacy reminds everybody that your legacy is being built every day through every interaction, one person, one day at a time. You've all been given the chance to make a difference, and every day offers you numerous opportunities to build your own lasting legacy. Think about the legacy of the people that were there before you. There were people there answering the calls before you were there. Did they leave a legacy, or did they just leave? Did they leave something behind to say, man, they were so good at this, or man, they really helped me with that, or they were really compassionate about these things? What is their legacy? What's yours? What's your legacy going to be when you're no longer there? Are you a future caster? Are you thinking of things in the future to make my agency the best it possibly can be? If you're going to spend 30 years on your job like I did, think of that. You're spending 30 years of your life. Don't you want it to be the best place it can be? If you do, you're going to build that legacy. Now, I'll tell you what. I only got about 5 minutes left here. But I will tell you that the next screen that comes up, all I want you to do, the only thing I want you to do is just say what's on that next screen, okay? It's important to think of this because I know some of you are watching this in a car, or maybe you're on break, or maybe you're with other people. But if you can say it out loud, whatever you see on the next screen here. If you can't say it out loud, think right here. What does that say? What does it say on the next screen that comes up? All right, you ready? What does that say? How many of you saw opportunity is nowhere? Opportunity is nowhere. How many of you saw opportunity is now here? It's all about having the right mindset. Having the right mindset in our job to say, you know what? I've given opportunities every single day. I can lead my agency into the future by asking questions, by finding things, by researching stuff, and maybe, just maybe, being that empathetic person to your neighbor, to the person sitting next to you. Maybe you don't even like this person sitting next to you, but you know they've had a rough call. And you say, it's important that I say, are you okay? You all right? What happened? Think of that. Opportunity is now here. It's never nowhere. It's now here. It's important to think of these things. Your interpretation of today's presentation, I mean, I've tried to give you some tools necessary to be the best future caster you can be, or continue to believe that, man, nothing's going to change. No matter which way you think, you're going to be right. Take advantage of today's lessons. The future is going to be bright. I encourage all of you, please, watch all these presentations on this. Watch every presentation we have out here. They're so important. There are people in our business that are helping us all kind of get re-energized and remotivated to do the great job we have out there. It's important to have that. I consider my job is to motivate each of you, to inspire each of you to go do great things. And I hope, and the heck I have in the last 50 minutes, I hope I've given you that. It's important to think of these things. Got to take advantage of these things out there. I ask you to leave a legacy. Visit us at showaltercompany.com or visit our Facebook page, our Instagram page, whatever it might be. Ricardo, are you there, my friend? He's not there. There he is.
What's up, man?
Hello. Look, I have my timer going. I was like,
I was wondering what you were looking down at. I was like, he's got to have a timer.
I want to run along, but I do appreciate the opportunity to come and be part of this great conference. I see so many people, and it's like, I love to get our message out.
Yeah, man. If you can maneuver your slideshow off to the side a little bit, there are just the comments and everything in here.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
That would be good. Actually, let me bring down here. They'll bring us both up here.
I couldn't read them during the thing. I'm like,
yeah, if you scroll up, I mean, even right now, the comments are blowing up and everything.
Oh, that's so cool. I really appreciate it, everybody. I really do. I really try to make it useful stuff. That's one thing that I've learned over the years is when I leave a class, if I can't use it today, I'm out. I can't go back and say, maybe we'll do it in a few years. I want stuff that I can walk out of that class today and say, I can use this. I can go back and try this right now.
For sure.
It makes me happy when I see, like, we went to a comm center. I can't remember where it was at, but we went and we brought up the 2 ideas, plans, or strategies. Mm-hmm. During lunch, they went and started doing it on the wall in the break room. And I was like, that's so cool that it's just, I love that kind of stuff. It's, I want to hear those kind of things.
That is excellent, man. I like at the very end there, which you had put up there, and opportunity is now here. That was awesome. Very well done. I dig it.
It's such an easy thing to show your mindset. What are you looking at? Are you looking at now, here, or nowhere?
Right. And you took me back with the pagers and the brick cell phone. I had a Nokia brick cell phone back in the day.
God, I did too. I had one mounted in my car. I had an iRock and I had it mounted in my car. But here's the thing. I didn't get it hooked up because it was $4 a minute. So it was like, I can't use it, too expensive, but I had it in my car. It looked cool.
Dang. Yeah. Nice little accessory there. But then, the payphones as well and all of that, man. The comment there, Melissa says, tell me about it. I feel old now. Thanks, Tony.
I'm like, I always try to look backward and say, where are we at today? I mean, I'll tell you what, I had a friend, I have a friend, just one. But she's a comm center supervisor, and they had a problem with phones on the operations floor. Mm-hmm. And they said, you can't have phones on the operations floor. And so they said, you got to put them in your purse, can't keep them out. So she'd look out on the floor, and they're all looking in their purses, digging, and where they're looking at their phone. So then she's like, okay, you can't have your purse on the floor. I said, what about if they all get Apple Watches? Then they can sit on the floor. So now we have them take their watch off too? They got to be completely nude on the operations floor? I mean, come on.
Oh, man. That is funny. Yeah, all of that, a lot of that stuff there, was taking me back. The whole, the futurecaster thing. I love that term, futurecaster. Yeah. When I was in dispatch, and I believe one of my former coworkers and lifelong friend, Megan, is in here, but there's some of the things that I was trying to do was streamline a lot of what was going on. So like our silent observer forms.
Yeah.
It would seem like it would take forever to get some of that stuff. So I ended up turning it into a form just off of Adobe Acrobat and created that. And then we just added all of the email addresses for the different agencies. So then when the call would come in, we could just use it as a form instead of writing everything down. Right there's Megan right there. And,
Megan's like, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I did the same thing with our CTO program up at the academy. The DOR they had before was so lengthy, nobody liked doing it. And when I asked all the CTOs in the state, what's wrong with it? They said, we hate these forms. So I changed it using, believe it or not, Excel. I made a new form. We put it into Adobe. It became it's still the actual form that the CHP uses, but I made it so much more streamlined because that was number one complaint. Everybody said, I hate writing all this stuff and I hate all this, so we changed the whole thing around.
No, that's
Y2K. There's so many Y2K.
Yes. So you couldn't see it, but I put it in the comments for myself, my own experience. When Y2K hit, I was just off of graduated in 99. And I had a Packard Bell computer, this huge tower desktop, CRT monitor and everything. And I remember when it hit, the time went back to like 1984. And I thought, oh, that was it? Like, where's the apocalypse and everything?
With that big computer you had, did you have the AOL disc that you had to put in and you could hear it?
Yeah, man, dial up and everything. Yeah, it could have been like Weird Science. I could have made people with the equipment.
Weird Science, yeah, that's it.
We're dating ourselves now. We got those 80s movies.
Well, those pagers used to be cool because we could make the most of them, because you and I both know that if you sent somebody some numbers and they flipped that pager over, it said something real dirty. So it was like, we made the most of it.
Right. Oh, yeah. We used to do that in school as well when we had our calculators.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, calculators.
Turn it around and show it to somebody.
Like, did that thing go to hell? Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So I know that you had your information up on the wall there, or on the screen. on the
Right
screen.
behind us.
Yeah, right there, that as well. How else can people get a hold of you? Any other emails or anything like
Yeah,
that?
they can call us at showalter.company@gmail.com. It's easy to get us on Facebook. If you go to our Facebook, you can send us a comment, and Jill's really fast at responding to those kind of things. So we're on there. You can go to Instagram, do it on there too. Our webpage, showaltercompany.com, that's got a lot of information on it, and we're adding new videos in probably about 2 weeks. We're gonna add some brand new videos on there that are some educational type stuff to kind of tell you what we do. So you'll see a lot of that kind of stuff. So
Perfect.
we're pretty excited about the changes coming up, and I'm so glad to see everybody in there commenting now. I'd like to read it. I should have just done the class sitting here looking at that.
Oh, that would have been funny, man.
Yeesh, I love all these things out there. Retro Day. Hey, we're going modern now, so
Yeah, when you get a chance, man, you definitely have to come back in on this on a replay, and then just go through the comments.
Yeah,
There's so much good stuff in there
I
while
love
you
that.
your entire session.
That's so
So
cool.
thank you once again for doing this session and joining us for Dare to Be Great too. And for the next session that we have coming up, we've got Nathan as well as Josh from the Nissan Relief Foundation.
These are hard to follow, man. It's like I'm glad I'm ahead of them.
Yeah, it's going to get deep. So we'll
Wow.
see all of you in the next session. Thank you very much. And I'll bring you all there with me here in just a moment. Have a good one,
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.